absolutely right.
But getting back to the race, it's a very, very good Gold Cup. Okay, you have horses. It's strength and depth to the race. You have the King George winner, who's Clandazo, who's had a fantastic season, stable in super order, so we respect him. Native River, last year's winner, not a million miles from last year's form where he is, so you have to respect him. Ken Boy, obviously another youthful candidate coming through. You have to respect him, what he's done in Leopardstown. Bells Hill, we could have won an Irish national here in Fairyhouse, won the Punchestown race and then won Leopardstown the last day. All rock solid form. Mike Boyd second in the race last year, probably not the same horse he was last year. Album 4, but he's only had one run.
Just in relation to Mike Boyd, I mean, that was a war of attrition. That was one of the hardest run Gold Cups last year that we've seen in a long time. I mean, they went out at hammer and tongs.
But again, that's why the race isn't won by multiple horses.
Yes,
it's attrition. Did you ride the Gold Cup? It's, man, like it is. You know, if people think that Gold Cup mightn't be what people make it out to be, it is. I promise you, it is the best and most severe test of a horse. It's when the tapes go up, you run down, you jump. The last fence is your first, and you're going lickety split the whole way. There's no let up the whole way. And when you think that you've enough done, then some fucker quickens. That is the race.
Well, thankfully they all quickened enough for you to win the Gold Cup, because you came from another parish to win the Lord Windermere, didn't you?
I did. Look, it was just one of them things I had accepted after the first 30 or 40 seconds of the race. I couldn't keep going applying that pressure, so I just took the pressure off him and I had to ride, and it worked out. Promise you, 99 times out of 100 that never works. It just happened to work that day. It mightn't have been the best Gold Cup that was ever ran, but it was still a war of attrition for a horse that, you know, there's quite a few of us jumping the last together, but look, it was a fantastic day, and it was brilliant to win a Gold Cup and then never take it away from me. So
that's exactly it. No,
they tried to
take the medal away. They did. Well, Willie did his best, didn't he?
But look, you can't blame him for that.
No, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Well, David, we wish you the very, very best of luck in the Gold Cup. I think it will be. Pat Kelly has done some remarkable things in the past, and there's no doubt that he can do some remarkable things in the future, so we wish you the best of luck. Eamon, it's interesting, isn't it, that Pat Kelly has this stance that he doesn't want to say anything. It's like Jim Gavin on speed, but like again, you know, you can trot out a few pleasantries to a journalist that don't mean anything. I mean, if he doesn't feel as though he wants to say anything, he's entitled to do that.
No, absolutely. I think he's entitled to his privacy. He's in a public realm, but if he doesn't like journalists and he doesn't like publicity, that's his right to do what he wants. If he really wants to piss off every journalist in Ireland, he should give me an exclusive. I tell you what, that
would be an exclusive.
He's actually the kind of guy, but that is what he would do. So don't be afraid to fucking ring him.
I know Philip Reynolds, Albert's son. I knew Albert. I met Albert and Philip at Cheltenham a few years ago at the November meeting. They're lovely people. I think he's a really good owner, great jockey, and fair play to Pat Kelly. Of course, he's entitled to do it his way.
Well, we've seen some great scenes in the parade ring of horses coming in, and I suppose we see the likes of Sprinter Sacre, brilliant receptions they got. I think if presenting Percy wins the Gold Cup, Eamon, I think it will bring the house down. I think the fact that he is such an enigmatic man and an interesting man, I mean, the racing needs characters like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, my job I might get him.
No chance.
No, it would be fabulous for a small trainer to win it.
Yeah.
It would be fabulous for an Irish man to win it and ride it and train it.
Absolutely.
It's a great story. I wish we all.
As you can see, there's no shortage of support in the room, and again, it's interesting though. I noticed you've clipped Presenting Percy out by half a point, Rob. He was 3-1 last night. He's out to 7-2, so you're obviously out to take him on.
Yeah, like as Davey said, it's a really, really good renewal. You can make cases for any, like you've got Presenting Percy, you've got the King George winner, the reigning champ, the Lexus winner from Christmas, the Hennessy winner, the horse who was favoured last year, and then you've got other horses who've proven themselves. I'd be shocked if Presenting Percy didn't go off favourite. He's just one of those horses that they're just going to back him on today. He doesn't deserve to be favoured because on what he's done, but he's just one of those horses that I can see certainly the Irish latching on to him. Even if you don't fancy him, people just want to back him because they'll be like, geez, I have to back him. He's just one of those horses. He's the Denali of 20 odd years ago. You saw it in Goran. People just came to see him. The Diocese is always a great supported meeting, and yet they probably got another 3,000 through the gate because of him, and he won. He's alive and well, and like, what a story it would be if he did.
It'll be incredible. It would absolutely be one of the great sporting stories of the year. Eamon, I know you're under a bit of pressure. You have to head off shortly. We have a charity bet. We're going to continue the discussion on the Gold Cup and the handicaps. But you have a €100 charity bet from Rob for Pieta House, and you might just tell us where your €100 is going on.
I'm going to put the €100 on Presenting Percy.
Good man.
In a double. For a 100-to-1 chance.
No.
Me getting the interview with Pat Kelly. No, I put it on Presenting Percy and wish Davey good luck. And I sit at home and enjoy watching.
Well, Eamon, thanks a million for joining us this evening. Thank you very much indeed. See you soon. Very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Eamon Dunphy. Thank you, Eamon. Brian, we're going to continue our chat on the Gold Cup. But Sarah, start with yourself. I mean, is there anything else in the race that appeals to you or stands out as perhaps a bit of value in the each-way markets there? Again, it's a case of ifs, buts and maybes. But the likes of Kenboy, perhaps from the Willie Mullins yard, maybe it's a bit of value at a big price, a double-figure price.
Yeah, Kenboy, I think you can get him at 9-to-1. He's won his last 4 races. He won really well at Christmas. Unfortunately, he couldn't run during the Dublin Racing Festival due to the ground. I actually tipped him that day, and when he came out then I went with Road to Respect and was just denied by who was one of them? Yeah, that's it. For each way value, there's a horse I really love. I actually don't know if he's going to run though. Definitely Red. He stays all day. You probably get about 33-to-1 or bigger on the exchanges on the day, but maybe for an each way chance. Another interesting one would be Shattered Love at an each way price. She's finished in front of Kenboy last year in Cheltenham. I think she bet him about 15 lengths or so. So the fact that she's 25-to-1 is a good each way shot. But I'm all for Presenting Percy to win. I mean, I think people will be backing him just for the love of him as well, and I know Davey said the day in the Tiestes where he won that he's never seen a horse being paraded, or he was applauded when he came into the parade before the race, and then after when he won. Yeah, it was Miles there that day. It was really magical. And who knows, if he does win, maybe Pat Kelly will. I mean, if he wins the Gold Cup, he's going to be so excited. Like, it's going to be impossible to keep quiet, and I'd love to see him just burst out into a conversation like with somebody. But Presenting Percy to win, each way chances, maybe Shattered Love, and definitely Red. Yeah,
Davey, Shattered Love obviously is a horse that Gordon really holds in high regard, and if Shattered Love was to run in this race, she'd obviously have a chance.
Oh, she's a talented filly, she's a multiple Grade 1 winner, she's a course winner, not over the distance, but the 2-5 race last year, so there's no reason why you couldn't. One horse definitely all year that the ground would have been on the quick side for was her. She does appreciate a bit of juice on the ground, so it wouldn't surprise me if she turned around and performed with a lot of horses she's been running against. So she's very talented, she gets the £7.
That's a help.
Yeah. So come the last day of the festival, the ground could be on the slow side,
Yeah, and again at that kind of price, she might give you a good run for your money and squeak in.
A horse at a big price is Elegant Escape. keep on the right side of him. Stamina, they've got abundance of stamina, and he's a Welsh national winner with a big weight. He's had experience of the course and around the course, so I definitely, he didn't jump brilliant the last year. He needs to jump a bit better, but if he does, he will definitely be one
thereabouts. Looking to escape. Andy, what's your view on the race? You might just go down through the form of the principles, and I mean it's hard to argue with what Native River did last year. Obviously, a repeat of that would probably be good enough, wouldn't it?
It'd definitely be thereabouts. Yeah, well, it's Gold Cup form. I love Native River. I had a few quid in him last year, and I'll probably do the same this year. When Davey spoke about a Gold Cup being the test that it is and how intense it is, that's why Native River's a Gold Cup horse. He's a big, thick, ignorant joke, and he just goes and goes and goes. And it's why he's not good enough for a King George and not sharp enough. King George is 3 miles on a flat track. You need to be good and sharp and fast, and he lacks that. But what he makes up is the extra 2.5 furlongs in Cheltenham, up the hill in Cheltenham, and it's just dour. It's going, and it's why over the years you've seen all these hype horses, and these the likes of, I know Desert Orchid got there eventually, but the likes of Desert Orchid and One Man, these kind of horses that are touted, and they get to the Gold Cup, and they just don't have that extra bit for the extra trip for the Gold Cup and the extra toughness. Native River has that. His form has been marginally below what it was going into the Gold Cup last year, but not a whole lot below it, and I think he's just an ideal Gold Cup horse. He loves it, and I think we'll see the best of him come the Gold Cup, so I'm sticking my colours to him. Of the rest of them, Canada's old boy, you have to give a huge shout to on what he's done, and also on the form of the Nicholas horses. Kenboy is one I see as a very tasty horse who'll probably come up short for toughness in the Gold Cup, and presenting Percy, of course, he's definitely the enigma of the race. He's the intriguing horse, and everyone's fascinated by him, and it's going to be a great watch. I spoke to Philip Reynolds about him one day actually, and he was telling me how he came about to own the horse.
Yeah, she didn't own him, would you believe?
Or his wife doesn't.
Yeah.
And but he said that he was chatting to Pat Kelly, and he told Pat that he'd have a horse with him or whatever, and Pat said, "Jesus, that's brilliant, I really appreciate that, but I don't get good orders like that every day. I'll make sure I'll find you a good one." So he said about 3 years went by and he hadn't heard a word from Pat, so he just forgotten about the whole thing. And he said one day he got a phone call from Pat Kelly, and Pat said, "I found you a real one." How right he was.
He certainly was, and it's not his first one either. Sure, it's not obviously Mandini. It's a fairly useful animal as well. So he's obviously got a fair eye. Brian, what's your view on the Gold Cup?
Look, nothing different. We used to have video clips of these nights, but I really urge everybody to go home tonight or tomorrow morning and just have a look at last year's RSHS. He absolutely pissed it. I mean, he beat Monolith, I'd say, by 8 or 10 lengths, in a canter. I just think Presenting Percy is the horse of a lifetime. I think it could be really, really special, and I wouldn't worry too much about him not having run over fences this year. I mean, any power won, I think, a champion hurdle, haven't had only one run. It's not these days. I mean, it's not that important. I'm not a big fan of Clan de Sobo. I'd probably make him my lay of the meeting. Actually, I think he won a really poor race there the other day. Ascot, he beat Terrafort. I mean, Presenting Percy would eat Terrafort. He won a really not a great King George either. I mean, he beat Thistlecrack. Thistlecrack's a bit long in the tooth. The two main horses that day fell, Bristol Demai and Waiting Patiently, both knocked each other out of the race. It was as bad. It turned out into a bad King George, I thought. I couldn't have Clan de Sobo. I think he's just another one of these, as I said earlier, kind of Saturday ITV racing horses that you just hear about all the time, because Irish horses don't run on a Saturday in England. I just cannot see Presenting Percy being beaten. I think Native River last year he won, he got his optimum conditions. It was like a wet day, it was soft ground, just grounded out. There's nothing else. I mean, I don't think Kenboy, Bells Hill are good enough. I mean, they won the 2 trials in Ireland, nice enough, but I don't know whether they're good enough to win a goal cup, to be honest with you.
What about Alboon Photo, Brian? Would you give him a squeak if he ran in the race?
He doesn't decide that he's going sideways at the second last maybe, but
He travelled up in the Ryder Gold Cup, which was an impressive performance.
Yeah, but again, he was going to be well beaten by President Percy in the RSA last year when he fell. So, I mean, Davey mentioned Elegant Escape there. I mean, he was beating a Farmerland in the RSA chase too. Like, so I mean, that run last year is as good as anything in this race has achieved. And if he gets there and produces his best, I think he could win with a bit to spare.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Davey, just one of the lads in the audience has suggested, he said, Davey mentioned that horses get nervous in the preliminaries before a race, or can get nervous. Will you be nervous, and does your thought process change before a big race? And if you weren't riding Presenting Percy, what else would you like to ride in the race?
We don't be getting nervous, but I'd be excited. I would be excited, but that goes when you fuck up on one and you get it. You know, so what else would I ride? No.
What you're riding is good enough, Davey, isn't it?
Oh, I tell you what is the most amazing thing is that the kettle going on with the €20 for 4 pints, steak dinner, and watch the race.
That's value.
That's what you call value.
You're actually looking before we start.
And a fight for free bet. No, that's a big. Don't mind. I see all the lads that had their hands up and saying they're going to Cheltenham are now wondering, Jesus, will I stay at home?
Might give up on Presenting Percy yourself.
Yeah. 20 quid for 4 pints, a steak dinner, and a fight for free bet.
1958 price.
Baited with a long stick.
Yeah, before we go, lads, Rob is Paddy Power kindly giving us charity bets. Eamon has had his, and I'm sure he'll have his odds enhanced, Rob, will he?
Yeah, 7-1, yeah.
7-1 Presenting Percy, that's decent. Davey, your charity bet and something for the handicaps if you have one, or if you consider. Can I just ask you a question on a horse called Dinons in the Albert Bartlett? It's currently priced about 25 to 1. He's actually owned by a friend of mine, Timmy O'Driscoll. I know you've ridden him a couple of times. Like, this horse was taken out of it at Naas the last day, but prior to that it won 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, in Navan, yeah, he was very good in Navan. Yeah. Going to run a nice race. He was the runs under his belt. That day was always going to be his last run with the Cheltenham, with the festival in mind. So you know, there's no worry of the gap. It's done by design. So talented horse. Wouldn't be a bit disappointed if he won it. I sold him. He's a very, very nice horse. He's a very nice horse.
He's currently very priced.
He's could he win an Albert Bartlett? I don't know.
Are you likely to ride him?
Oh, I would be waiting for Gordon to, I would have no problem riding him. Yeah, we'd a great year with him, to be fair.
Sure. And your charity bet, your overall charity bet?
Yeah, I just think the value of Angel's Breath in the Supreme Novices, I think it's standing out. He's the one horse that is standing out at me for the whole festival that is huge value at his price. I think he's 9-1 with Paddy Powers.
Rob?
We're getting cans, are we?
Yeah.
Come on.
I just think, to be fair, he's 13-2.
Is that a winner each item?
No. I think he's. I just adore this horse. He was ultra impressive in his point of mind. You could, as much as call it the last day, his first run over hurdles. So yeah, I just think for value, and if the charity was to get a few quid, I would like to get a right few quid. You know.
Okay. Well, your €100 goes on Angel's Breath. Anything at all in the handicaps? Not yet. Is it a bit early, Davey?
Honestly, it's impossible. tried to have a flick down through it. I got as far as the Carl or one of them races. I said, geez, what I do? It's virtually impossible.
Just on the Carl, the storyteller got 14 pounds.
Oh yeah, scandalous! Like it's really taking the piss. You know what I mean? I think that I think that deserves another kind of an interview for I think like he's 14 pounds is just, you know, what hope have you got, you know? So you're thinking the Irish horses are very harshly treated, so I don't know.
Well, they're harshly treated, but yeah.
Look, come here. They win a lot of races, but the English, you know, the English.
They've no mercy. Well, they certainly appear that way.
They'll have fucking mercy in a couple of weeks' time. Going on at Cheltenham with Brexit, I mean.
Hopefully with both. Brian, what's your charity bet? And have you had a good, strong study on the handicap so far?
Not really, no. It's very hard. There was one there in the. I think he's going to run in the Martin Pike. Actually, it's owned by Philip Reynolds, the man who was presenting Percy. It's called It's All Guesswork. He ran in one of these pretend qualifiers the other day in various.
As far as I know, he might go for the Kim Muir.
Kim Muir, yeah, he's in the Kim Muir. He's well down the list on the Kim Muir. So, but Mark Enright, let's say, gave him a very educational ride in various.
He's one horse. And I promise you that. The minute you decide to put him into the race, he kind of gets out of the race. So the longer you can convince him he's not in a race, he'll run on, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I wouldn't read into it too much, genuinely, if that's any help.
Yeah, we said the same about presenting Percy though a couple of years ago, but there's one in the Pertemps, the aforementioned Pertemps that's shared by Joseph O'Brien. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's called Termis Stockless or something, I think. It was third in Leopardstown there. The race, was it Momus?
Doesn't the winner of that race look well treated?
Yeah, definitely. Rachel Blackmore, didn't she? Yeah, Canute, yeah. I think this fella might be a couple of pounds better off though for that race. But for the charity bet, I'll have 50 quid win on OK Corral in the 4-miler, trained by Nicky Henderson. He was second in the Albert Barton last year. They brought Derek O'Connor over to Warwick to ride him in the novice chase, just to let him have a look at him ahead of the 4-miler. And I'll have 50 quid also on Faheen in the stairs.
Okay, thanks very much, Brian. Okay, Andy, we'll come to yourself and Sarah in a second. Just before we wrap up, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody involved in this evening. Thank you all for coming out this evening and supporting Pieta House. Thanks very much to Paddy on sound, and indeed to Dave and Barry and the lads at the door. Again, all the work they put in is all selfless and enabled a very, very good cause. So thank you to everybody involved in this evening. Thanks, lads. Sarah, your €100, where is it going to? And have you heard anything about any of the handicaps? Any word for anything?
I'm going to be very boring and stick it all on Sir Eric, but Rob is going to give me 3-1. So I'll stick me 100 quid on him, 300-1. Inside information, Brown Advisory for the.
Are you always going to talk about?
The Brown Advisory Handicap Chase, Dr. Phoenix. He's 20-1 with Star Sports. I don't know what price he is with Paddy Power, but each way chance Dr. Phoenix. And I actually did have It's All Guesswork down for the Kim Muir. 8-1 is the price I got on him, so they're my two choices.
I don't think he gets into the Kim Muir. He was way down this one.
No, yeah, look, I didn't see it.
Don't see him his way down. But look, again, there's so many ifs, buts and maybes in the handicaps. Andy, what's your charity bet and your handicap selection, if there is one?
The charity bet is Faheen on the nose. He's good value and or even better value now, Ash.
I can't do one. Maybe 10, do we?
Yeah. And yeah, fine on the nose. In a handicap, maybe I'm wrong with this one, but a horse who I always kind of thought was going to go and have a big day, and maybe this could be his Ted Watches any second now. He's in, I don't know what the name of the
JP horse as well.
Yeah. Is he not from Kimure? He's in the Kimure.
He's in the Kimure. Yeah, he's in the handicap.
So wherever he goes.
Wherever he goes. And another horse I like, not in the handicap, but in the Fox Hunters, is Shantou Flyer, who is another horse who's just probably a bit thick and keeps doing. He just does more than he should. He's an overachiever all his life. He's a handy little horse, but he just keeps producing.
Okay. Well, my charity bet is I'm going to double you have, Rob, on the two bankers for the festival, Sir Eric and Benny Deju and the mares. We're currently, what, about 5.5 to 1 the double. You'll go 10s, will you? Yeah. Okay, I'll have my 100 on that. And we were at a preview last night. There's a guy called Andy Gibson who drills down deeply into sectionals and timings and all of that. Last year he gave 2 tips. One was Kustar Savola and the other was Mr. Whitaker. One won at 14 to 1, the other one at 10s. And his nap at the festival in the handicaps is Highway 101 for Chris Gordon in the Close Brothers Chase. So just there's
very good trainer.
Chris Gordon, yeah. So that's just one for the handicaps. But ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Brian Flanagan, Andy, Sarah, Davey Russell and Rob Harrison.